What is going on to all my horror fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Eliot back again with a brand new A24 horror slasher movie review, and today we're breaking down X, which I just got back from seeing in theaters, and I'm so excited to share my thoughts with you all and let you know if it's worth checking out in this spoiler-free review. Before we get into it, check me out on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to the channel, we are building something special here, and I want you all to be a part of it. So if you love early movie reviews, TV reviews, and live streams, well, come and join the community by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. As you can see on the screen now, if you enjoyed this spoiler-free movie review, I'm going to put a challenge to you all. Let's get this video to 100 plus likes, and also share this review to anyone and everyone you know that might enjoy this film. But more importantly, once you've seen X, what did you think about it? Let's talk pros and cons, but let's dive a little deeper. Let's talk about the direction, the production. Who was your favorite character? What was your favorite kill? What were some things that didn't work for you all? And let's talk A24 in the comments. I want to know top 3 A24 horror films on your list. Let's talk about it in the comment section. So jumping right into my thoughts, starting off with my positives. I'm a fan of Ti West. I like his short films, his feature films. He's an actor as well. I'm a fan of his, and I have to say, being a fan of his, this is his best project to date. Now, I think he was able to give us, I'm an A24 fan, first and foremost. Not all their films resonate with me, and particularly in the horror realm, but I always love to go into an A24 film expecting the unexpected. So I love how Ti West was able to kind of play within what I love about A24, but also giving me a full-blown horror slasher, all within the confines of an hour and 45 minutes, which again, being a fan of horror, that's like the sweet spot for horror films for me. He was able to hit that spot with building characters, building tension, being a slasher, having some style and substance. Ti West did a great job in the direction. I also want to give him applaud for paying homage to the 70s and the 80s horror films, and particularly Texas Chainsaw Massacres, all up in this thing, but he is able to give you his style, his substance, build characters, and having a great slasher film all at the same time. So again, I'm a fan of Ti West, and I have to say, this is his best project to date. But I also, let's talk about these actors here. Now, I'm a fan of this entire cast, and I had so much fun with this cast because, again, being a fan of horror, there's a lot of times you watch horror films, you're just like, I can't wait for them to kill that character. I can't say that about this film. I enjoyed this cast. I think of my boy Kid Cudi and also his scene partner in Brittany Snow. And I say scene partner because they're shooting a porn. You know, the basic premise of this film, we have a cast and crew going to a secluded farm to shoot a pornography. And let's just say they don't get the money shot that they were looking for in this film. But again, I thought Scott, Brittany Snow were fantastic. They brought a lot of levity to this really kind of, you know, dark and scary film at times. And also I think of Martin Harrison as Wayne. So much fun with that character. But those supporting cast was fantastic. The two of our main leads, more so Jenna Ortega, who's more prominently, heavily involved in the second half of this film. Who is her agent? Because they have given this girl such a great career, and give her credit too. She picks projects so perfectly. She's becoming one of my favorite up-and-coming actresses, and just seeing her in Scream this year and now this, and she's going to be in, you know, the Addams Family later this year. She's so great, and I really enjoyed her character in this film, Lorraine, who is someone that's kind of in this situation that's an uncomfortable situation, shooting porn, and her thoughts on porn, and her just having this particular decision later in the film that was very surprising. I'm telling you all, she is fantastic. She's become the Scream Queen, and I really enjoyed her. But speaking of enjoyment, I have been a fan of this actress for such a long time, and I love seeing her in horror. I'm talking about Mia Goth, who plays Maxine, who's given 2 heavy loading jobs in this film. I think of Suspiria, and I thought a lot of Suspiria this film, especially with her character, but she's great. She wants to be a star. She wants to be a porn star, but she wants you to know her name, and I really enjoyed just the subtlety in her character. It's all about the eyes. It's all about the movement. It's about the way she carries herself, which, by the way, I love the southern accent from everyone in this cast, but again, Mia Goth, she did her thing, and I'm really excited to explore a lot more of her acting sensibilities, and I'll talk about something a little bit later in this review, but she was fantastic, and overall, the cast was great altogether. I want to talk about something about this film, and going back to me being a horror fan, a lot of horror films, they're just killing people just to kill people, and it's fun sometimes, right? And seeing people go down left and right, but I always appreciate a good horror film that gives you a little bit of an understanding of why the killers are doing what they're doing, and by no means did I sympathize with them, but I understood why they were doing. There are some plot stuff that didn't really flesh out the way I wanted to when it involves our villains, but for the most part, I still appreciate and applaud the fact that we get a little understanding of why they are doing what they're doing in this film, which also brings me to tackling a little bit of the story and the themes. This is not only a very stylized horror slasher film, but it has substance, and I thought that the themes, especially highlighted in the first half, we're talking about porn, and I love the conversation that our characters have to say about sex and the double standard and the perspective of sex during the late 70s into the 80s. I enjoyed that narrative, especially when you look at the horror genre and it comes to normally sex is like a bad thing in horror films, right? We see the virgins being killed off or survive in the film, and the people that have sex are the ones that die first. This film has its own stance and has its own thing to say about sex, and I really enjoyed what it had to say. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder is something that this film brings up, and some pretty interesting thoughts on beauty in this film that I enjoyed, and being young and being lifeful. So I really was surprised by how many themes and things were kind of highlighted in this film. But this is a horror film. Is it scary? Does it have good kills? Well, I judge a horror film based on its first kill. And for me personally, the first kill did not disappoint. It was such a awesome first kill. It was not only stylized, which, by the way, the production in this film was fantastic. The score, the cinematography, all great. The lighting, so great. But going back to that first kill, it was just the tip of the iceberg. I do have preferences. Like, I enjoyed some kills more than others. I think of my two favorite kills in this film. It involves a lake, which has a great callback, and then also involves the house. So I'll just say those are my standouts. And I thought that, again, if you're a horror slasher film, the kills, pretty top notch in my opinion. But let's get into my criticisms here. I thought the pacing for the most part was fine. It worked for me, but I do think there will be people out there that will watch this film because it's a tale of two halves. The first half is building tension, building the characters, building the story. The second half is the more slasher elements. I think that first half, I was never bored, but there were moments where I wasn't fully locked in. I wasn't fully invested in the narrative. I think of some scenes that could have been cut out. Like I think of the sing-along, which was creatively looked cool. And there's some cool cuts between, there's like a message of sex in this film from like a religious standpoint, how they cut between that and what was going on. And there's like two of the same scenes going on at the same time. So again, creatively, the film had a lot of cool creative choices, but there were moments where I wasn't completely invested in the narrative that was going on, which also brings me to, I applaud the substance with the style, but there were certain things that were introduced in the first half of the film, the conversation about sex and certain things that our characters do, but then it kind of falls off and goes right into that second half, which again was fun and entertaining and bloody and gory, and I love that other stuff, but I wish that things were fleshed out more, and I think that the script was a little lacking at points in my personal opinion. Again, I thought the direction was great, but he's also, Ty West was the writer of the film. The writing wasn't all that great in certain portions of the movie, and I will point out, just small little nitpicks. I mentioned the kills were great. I preferred certain ones over others. There were two kills that I thought were just a little lacking. I wish it was a little bit more creative, which also brings me to, again, this is a horror film, so there are expected tropes. I think of jump scares, which I'm not going to blame the film for, trying to have those elements because it got some people in my theaters, but there were some tropes that were just not as creative as others, and they were a little generic. I'll just kind of say that. And then lastly, going back to our villains, I do feel like we get an understanding of what they're doing, but it's not as developed. It was kind of underdeveloped. I wish we would have learned a little bit more about their stance of why they're doing it completely. And also, there's a scene with our villains that I could have went without. It was a very awkward scene, which I applaud the film showing, again, all ages of life and beauty is the eye of the beholder, but I could have went without a certain scene, and I think you'll know what I'm talking about when you see the movie. So those are kind of my main criticisms. Before I give you all my overall score and if it's worth checking out, if you haven't already, make sure to like the review, share the review, comment below, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Overall, I believe Ty West managed to make a fun, entertaining A24 horror film. It's not overly sad, it's not depressing, it's not pretentious, but it's entertaining, it's interesting, it has a lot of fun elements. It's a throwback to the slashers back in the day with today's budget and the advancements in cameras and equipment. The performances were believable and fun. The kills left me on the edge of my seat, and I had a good time with this film. I'm going to give X a 4 out of 5. I can't wait to revisit this film, and I will let you all know. Stay around to the end credits because there is a post-credit scene, and let's just say I can't wait to get into this post-credit scene. I'll just kind of leave it at that, which, yeah, I don't want to give too much away. Stay in your chair to the end of this film. So again, 4 out of 5 for X for me. I recommend you all give it a watch, and when you do, let me know your thoughts. Again, favorite characters, favorite kills, what were some things that didn't work for you all, and did you stick around to the end of the film, and if so, are you excited? Let's talk about that in the comments. Thank you all for watching this review. Again, just a friendly reminder to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, come and join the community. Let's get this video to 100+ likes. Hope you all enjoyed the review. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe to the channel. Check out my other content. We'll catch you on the next video.